So, good day everyone. Today I will be discussing the psychosexual stages of human development as well as the continuation of the theories on crime causation.
So our learning objectives for this topic, at the end of the lesson, the student should be able to illustrate the psychodynamic theory, define the major components of human personality, and state the different theories in connection to their behavior. So explaining the psychological theories of crime causation. Psychodynamic or psychoanalytic psychology, that is introduced by Sigmund Freud, a Viennese psychiatrist. So according to Sigmund Freud, this holds that human personality is controlled by unconscious mental processes developed in early childhood. So since it was being developed during early childhood, this human personality contains three major components. And what are those three major components of our human personality? So kung natatandaan po, ang three major components natin ay si id, ego, and super ego. So when we say id, it dictates the needs and desires of a person, or what we call the pleasure principle. So this states what other people wants or needed in their everyday living. So for example, you want cell phone because you are being envious by other person, but that is not considered as your need. Why? Because needs tells about your basic necessities that will be using for your everyday living. Kapag id, ito lang po yung mga needs natin or yung mga wants natin sa buhay. While si ego, or what we call the reality principle, so in reality principle, it what happens in real life situation. So for example, you and your best friend quarreled because of your misunderstanding. Then no one wants to move first to return the harmonious relationship of yours. Therefore, that's your ego if you will tease your best friend or not, or you will be the one who will make first move for the benefits of the both of you. And that is your ego. Lastly is the superego. It counteracts the id by fostering feelings of morality, or yung superego natin, tinatawag din siyang morality principle. So superego is divided into two parts, your conscience and ego ideal. So for example, upon entering the room, you found out that there is a wallet full of money. If you will take the wallet and will not tell anyone that it's you who found it, your conscience, one of the parts of your superego or your morality principle nyo, is not working because it didn't intervene your id or your pleasure principle and did not tell your ego, your reality principle, that the wallet is not yours. So why would you take it, right? So therefore, if you pick the wallet full of money, ay makukonsensya ka dahil alam mo na hindi sa'yo yung wallet. At alam mo na yung wallet na yon ay kailangan mong isauli sa may kanya. And that is your superego. Na andyan yung konsensya mo kung ibabalik mo ba or hindi ang wallet na nakuha mo. Next, psychosexual stages of human development. The most basic drive present at birth is eros. Ano bang ibig sabihin ng eros? It is the instinct to preserve and create life. So, since we are born that our life has no meaning and we are the one who will put meaning on it, and it's up to us if the life we created will lead us to the right path of our life. So, ang eros din po is expressed sexually. Consequently, very early in their development, human experience sexuality which expressed by seeking pleasure through various parts of the body. So, as time passes by, the development of a child or an individual expresses sexually. So, ano nga ba yung mga stages ng buhay natin or yung stages ng isang bata. First is the oral stage. During the first year of life, the child attains pleasure by sucking and biting. So as you observe by the infant, they are being pleasured when they suck and bite because that is only what can do during that stage. Yun lang yung pwede nilang gawin sa stage nila, sucking and biting. And tinatawag yung stage na yon as oral stage, yung first year of your life, oral stage. Next, anal stage. During the second and third year of your life, the focus of sexual attention is on the elimination of bodily waste. So the child knows or aware that they are eliminating bodily waste. But in phallic stage, the next stage occurs during the third year when children focus their attention on their genitals. Kasi na-observe na nila ano ang meron sa katawan nila and unti-unti silang nagiging aware what are their gender. So under phallic stage, meron tayong tinatawag na Oedipus complex. Ano ba yung Oedipus complex? Males begin to have sexual feelings for their mother. Kasi mas madami sa atin na kapag sinabing male, mas malapit sa nanay kaysa sa tatay. And that is the vice versa of Electra complex. Ano ba yung Electra complex? Girls begin to have sexual feelings for their father. Mas malapit naman ng anak na babae sa tatay. That is the difference between Oedipus complex and Electra complex. Kung si Oedipus complex, yung male po have sexual feelings to their mother, while si Electra naman po, si girls kay father. So take note of that po. Next, latency begins at the age of 6. During this period, feelings of sexuality are repressed. So because it is their time to have social life. They begin to play outside with their siblings and friends. Nagkakaroon sila ng knowledge when it comes to playing outside. That is the latency stage. Next is genital stage. Begins at puberty. This marks the beginning of adult sexuality. So, ito yung period of adolescence or what we call the adolescence period. Nagkakaroon na ng changes sa katawan nila. The girls begins to have their menstruation and for boys, nagiging kilos binata na sila. Lumalaki ang boses at nagkakaroon ng iba't ibang changes sa katawan nila. So, important reminder, according to Freud, if the child meets conflict in any of the psychosexual stages of human development, a person can become fixated. This means, as an adult, the fixated person will exhibit behavior traits characteristic of those encountered during infantile sexual development. So, for example, an infant who does not receive enough oral gratification during the first year of life is likely, as an adult, to engage in such oral behavior such as smoking, drinking, and drug abuse. Kapag hindi ka nabigyan ng enough oral gratification or yung enough attention nung kayo ay bata pa, paglaki nyo, possible na magiging rebellious person kayo. Or kung hindi man rebellious person, nagkakaroon kayo ng behavior na hindi angkop sa ginagawa ng pamilya nyo. Halimbawa, smoking, drinking, nagiging involved na rin kayo sa drug abuse. Kaya po tinatawag na fixated. Next, behavioral theory. It was being created by John B. Watson and popularized by Verhulst Frederick Skinner, or commonly known as B.F. Skinner. So this theory concerned with the study of observable behavior rather than unconscious processes. So behavioral theory maintains that human actions are developed through learning experiences. It is also learned when it is rewarded and extinguished by negative reactions or punishment. Kapag hindi angkop ang behavior natin sa society, may mababiolate tayo. Then kapag naparusahan tayo, that will become our learning para hindi na natin ulitin or para magkaroon tayo ng behavior that deals with the society. Kasi kapag alam natin na may parusa sa behavior na sa maling behavior na gagawin natin, hindi na natin siya gagawin. Kasi ayaw natin ng mapaparusahan. Pero kapag alam natin na walang punishment or walang kaakibat na punishment ang action na gagawin natin, patuloy at patuloy lang natin to gagawin. Next, social learning theory. Created by Albert S. Bandurria, a Canadian psychologist. He argued that people are not actually born with the ability to act violently, but that they learn to be aggressive through their life experiences. So Bandurria claimed that people learn to act aggressively when, as children, they model their behavior after violent acts of adult. So, sa social learning theory, example, the boy who sees his father repeatedly strikes his mother with impunity is the one most likely to grow up to become battering parent and husband. So that is social learning theory. Halimbawa, sa isang pamilya, patuloy na habang bata pa nakikita ng anak na lalaki na sinasaktan lang ng tatay niya ang nanay niya. Ngayon, paglaki niya or pag nagkaroon siya ng asawa, nagkapamilya, alam niya sa sarili niya na okay lang nasaktan ang asawa kasi yun yung nature na nakita niya sa family niya. And that is social learning theory. So, social learning and violence, Bandurria believed that violence as something learned through processes called behavioral modeling. Aggressive acts are usually modeled after three principal sources. First is the family members. Bandurria reports that family life showing children who use aggressive tactics have parents who use similar behaviors when dealing with others. So, gaya ng example natin kanina, if within sa family, nakikita ang acts of violence, therefore, ma-adapt nila ang ganitong behavior and acts na madadala nila hanggang sa magkapamilya sila. Kasi kung within sa family pa lang, ganun na ang nakikita niya, what more kapag sila naman ang nagkaroon ng pamilya. Next, environmental experiences. People who reside in areas where violence is a daily occurrence are more likely to act violently than those who dwell in low-crime areas whose norm stress conventional behavior. So, for example, malapit kayo sa lugar na mataas ang crime rate at ang behavior ng mga tao is not normal to the society or sumosobra na sila. Ngayon, if you have friends that have the same traits and behavior ng mga taong nakatira kung saan mataas ang crime rate, ma-adapt nyo din ito at maaaring maging isa kayo sa mga violators ng lugar that is being affected by your environment or by your surroundings. And tinatawag siyang environmental experiences. Next, mass media. Films and television shows commonly depict violence graphically. Moreover, violence is often portrayed as an acceptable behavior, especially for heroes who never have to face legal consequences for their actions. So, kung anong nakikita nyo sa TV or napapanood that tells about violence, possible na maportray nyo din ito in real life situation. One of the effects and disadvantages of mass media. Kasi once na napapanood natin, akala ng iba, especially ng mga bata na nakakapanood, is tama yung ginagawa or napapanood nila sa television. Kaya napoportray nila in real life situation or in everyday living. Next is the moral development theory. It suggests that people who obey the law simply to avoid punishment or who have outlooks mainly characterized by self-interest are more likely to commit crimes than those who view the law as something that benefits all of society and who honor the rights of others. So when you see law or obey laws for your own benefits, there is a higher chance that you will commit crimes because of your selfishness. So unlike those who see it as benefit of all people who are within their jurisdiction. So kapag nakikita mo ang batas natin as para sa sarili mo lang, you are being selfish, possible na ikaw pa mataas ang risk na makakommit ng crime. Pero kapag tinitingnan mo ang batas as a whole or as a benefits of the whole, ay magkakaroon ka ng low risk para makakommit ng crime. Kasi hindi lang yung sarili mong iniisip mo, kundi ang kapakanan ng lahat ng tao na under or sakop ng jurisdiction within your society. Next, Kohlberg stages of development. Level or stage, age range, and description. So first, the obedience or punishment. That is the range for infancy. As described, no difference between doing the right thing and avoiding punishment. So since infant sila, hindi pa sila gaanong aware sa actions nila, whether it constitutes punishment or not. Kasi infant pa lang po sila. Next is self-interest. Range niya po ay preschool. Described as interest shifts to rewards rather than punishment. Effort is made to secure greatest benefit for oneself. So it ranges from preschool because it is the stage in which the interests of the child are easily done by them. Especially when they are given rewards, they put so much effort on it for their benefits. Next is the conformity and interpersonal accord. So school age po tayo. The child starts, according to description, the good boy or girl level. Effort is made to secure approval and maintain friendly relations with others. So the child starts to have a harmonious relationship with their friends because they are in the school age. Ito na yung time na nakikipagkaibigan sila, nagkakaroon na sila ng kalaro, at unti-unti na silang nagkakaroon ng social life. Next, authority and social order. School age pa din po ito. Description or described as orientation towards fixed rules. Since natututo na silang makipag-socialize, unti-unti na nilang na-adapt how to obey the rules and regulations of the society. And of course, not only the society but our country. I'm not saying na kung ano yung rules and regulation agad ng country natin as a whole. But yung mga basic rules and regulation ay unti-unti na nilang nalalaman at their age. Next is social contract. Ano po ang range nito? Teens. Described as mutual benefit or reciprocity. So, since it is teenage stage, they started to have a relationship with other person. Time you will become happy. This is the time where you will become happier and at the same time you will get hurt. But then, you will be experiencing how to be loved by other person. Kasi ito na yung teenage stage nyo. Nakakaroon na kayo ng relationship with other person, deeper, not only a friendship, but mas malalim pa po na pagtitinginan or yung mutual understanding nyo with other person. And lastly, set stages of development ni Kohlberg is the universal principles. Ito na po yung adulthood. Morality is based on principles that transcend mutual benefit. It is the time that you are fully matured, starting to think for career and for their future or for your future. Ito na po yung time kung kailan mas iniisip mo na kung ano yung magiging buhay mo in the near future. Next, intergenerational transmission theory. It refers to the socialization and social learning that helps to explain the ways in which children growing up in a violent family learn violent roles and subsequently may play out the roles of victim or victimizer in their own adult families. So for example, sa intergenerational transmission theory, 60% of boys with convicted father most likely to become convicted same as their father because they grew up in a family with violent behavior as well as their roles which is not acceptable in the surroundings where they are belong. So kapag daw po sa intergenerational transmission theory, transmission So, being transmitted. So, pag daw po ang tatay mo is a convicted offender or nakakakomit palagi ng criminal, especially habitual criminal, possible daw po na matransmit mo siya or maipasa mo siya sa magiging anak mo. Na pag daw lumaki, ang anak nyo is magiging habitual criminal din siya or magiging convicted person din po ang anak nyo. Kasi kung ano yung behavior or traits ng magulang, yun din po yung traits na maipapasa sa anak. Or kung hindi man sa anak, sa magiging anak pa ng anak nyo. Next, alternative theory. According to alternative theory, opposite charges attracts. Meaning, person attracts with their opposite sex that makes them to cohabit with each other. They focuses on assertive mating. So, female offenders tend to cohabit with or get married to male offenders. So, children with two criminal parents is likely to have disproportionately antisocial. So, because if two parents or both of your parents are criminals, therefore the children are most likely to have antisocial behavior. So, there are two main classes why similar people tend to get married, cohabit, or become sexual partners. Ito pa din po ay in relation with alternative theory. May tinatawag po tayong social homogamy and phenotypic assortment. When we say social homogamy, convicted people tend to choose each other as mates because of physical and social proximity. Then they meet each other in schools, neighborhoods, clubs, pubs, and so on. So they find partners who meet each others in schools, neighborhoods, clubs, pubs, and so on. So, maaaring they have different personalities. So, sa social homogamy, humahanap sila ng partner nila with different personality or different personality than them. Halimbawa, si lalaki, si babae, ayaw niya ng si babae katulad ng personality ni lalaki. Gusto niya magkaiba sila ng personality. While si phenotypic assortment, people examine each other's personality and behavior and choose partners who are similar to themselves. So they find partners who jive with each other, who have some same personality and traits of each other. Kung si social homogamy, humahanap siya ng partner na hindi sila magkatulad ng traits or personality. Sa phenotypic assortment naman, ang hinahanap niya is yung kaugali niya, ka-personality niya. At nung nakikita niya yung personality niya sa magiging partner niya. That is the difference between social homogamy and phenotypic assortment. Next is the differential association reinforcement theory, introduced by Ernest W. Burgess and Ronald L. Akers. So this theory suggests that the presence of criminal behavior depends on whether or not it is rewarded or punished. So the most meaningful rewards and punishment are those given by groups that are important in an individual's life. And ano ba yung mga important sa individual life or individual's life? Those are the peer group, the family, teachers in school, and other persons that are important or have great significance with your life. So in other words, people respond more readily to the reactions of the most significant people in their lives. So if the criminal behavior elicits more positive reinforcement or reward than punishment, such behavior will persist, or such behavior will be lessened, and there are possibility that they will be reinforced and reintegrate in the society. That is in differential association reinforcement theory. Nagkakaroon sila ng reinforcement kasi meron din pong tumutulong sa kanila para ma-reinforce sila at ma-reintegrate sila sa society. Hindi lang po yung taong nagtitreat sa kanila, kundi yung mga taong may have great significance in their lives. Next, Eysenck's conditioning theory, introduced by Hans J. Eysenck. There are three dimensions of human personality according to Eysenck. Async, first is psychoticism, aggressive, egocentric, and impulsive, meaning you are marked as energetic and has a strong personality, psychoticism. Next, extroversion, sensation-seeking, dominant, and assertive, meaning you are emotional and confident and have confident behavior and your style. Not only for your behavior but your style, you are being confident, dominant, and assertive. Neuroticism, having low self-esteem, excessive anxiety, and wide mood swings. So, you have a low self-confidence, iniisip mo palagi na magkakamali ka sa ginagawa mo. And the cortical arousal are the activation of the cerebral cortex of the brain, which is responsible for higher intellectual functioning, information processing, and decision making. So, di ba sa brain natin, merong cerebral cortex. Therefore, ito yung part in which most of your doings or our doings are being functioned by it. Gaya nga ng information processing and decision making. Next, intergenerated theory, being proposed by James Q. Wilson and Richard Julius Bernstein. The main concept of this theory is that the interaction of genes with environment that some individuals form the kind of personality likely to commit crimes. They stated that factors that push the individuals to commit crimes are intelligent quotient. So not only the intelligent quotient as well as the body build, genetic makeup, impulsiveness, aggressiveness, and even those mothers who drink and smoke while pregnant. So another is, sa integrated theory, if the reward, such as money, is greater than the expected punishment or yung small fine natin, there is increased likelihood that a crime will be committed. Kaya dapat mas higpitan pa ang parusa, lalong-lalo sa mga mabibigat na crimes. Gaya nga ng sabi ko kanina, kapag alam natin na yung ginagawa natin ay walang kaakibat na crime, therefore walang kaakibat na punishment, therefore patuloy at patuloy lang din nilang gagawin ang maling gawain. But in integrated theory, kapag daw po mas mataas ang reward kaysa sa punishment, mas malaki yung chance na makakommit sila ng crime or patuloy na makakommit ng crime. But kapag po mas tataasan natin ng punishment or mas bibigatan natin si punishment kaysa sa mga reward na makukuha nila or sa mga gagawin nila, therefore, malilesen yung mga taong gumagawa or nakakakommit ng crimes. Next is maternal deprivation and attachment theory. So, it was being introduced by Edward John M. Bowlby. According to maternal deprivation and attachment theory, the child needs warmth and affection from his or her mother or a mother substitute. So, when a child is separated from the mother or is rejected by her, anxious attachment results. So, anxious attachment, meaning it affects the capacity to be affectionate and to develop intimate relationships with others. So, habitual criminals, it is claimed, typically have inability to form bonds of affection. So, kasi sa material deprivation theory, nandyan ang bond between mother and their child. Of course, nandyan din yung affection with each other. So, if that affection will be lost during childhood stage, pagtanda, possible na malayo ang loob nyo sa isa't isa. And they will start to have antisocial behavior. Kasi kung bata pa lang, hindi mo na siya nabibigyan ng kalinga or hindi mo na siya nabibigyan ng care and affection, ngayon pagtanda nila, kasi alam nila na wala silang malalapitan or masasandalan, magkakaroon or gagawa sila ng antisocial behavior that makes them a violators of the society. As well as not only in the society but in your own community. Kaya po habang bata pa, lahat po ng affections na kanyang ibigay sa bata or sa anak nyo ay ibigay nyo na. Kasi once na pagtanda nila, kapag hindi sila nakaramdam ng affection sa inyo pa lang or sa mother pa lang hindi na nakaramdam ng affections, paglaki nila or pagtanda nila, magiging masama silang tao at posibleng manakit lang sila ng ibang tao.
So that's all for this topic. Thank you and God bless.